Gel electrophoresis. This is a technique used to separate DNA, RNA, or protein based off their molecular size. It can also be used to identify the size of DNA fragments as well as the charge. To make a gel, you mix 1 milliliter of a 50x buffer, 49 milliliters of distilled water, and 0.4 grams of agarose powder. After letting the gel sit for 15 to 20 minutes, you want to go ahead and fill up your chamber with buffer solution. And then in order to get the gel out, you're going to pull the pieces apart, but you want to do it very carefully so that you don't rip the gel. First, you're going to take the comb out, and then you're going to take off the ends. After that, you should just be able to slide out the gel and place it into the chamber, making sure that the wells are facing the negative end. In order to load the DNA into the gel, you have to use what's called a micropipette. So the first part of this is to make sure that you have the correct amount of microliters. So on here you can see what it's currently set to, and in order to change that, you have to twist the cap. So I'm going to twist this down to 20 microliters because that's what I'll be using for this lab today. In order to hold a micropipette, you have to put this loop on your index finger like this, and then grab the top with your thumb. A micropipette has two different clicks, so there's a first click and then a second click that's all the way down. It's really important to know which is which before going into the lab because these are used at different times throughout the lab. This is going to be the DNA sample that we're using today. So all of the different wells are labeled A through H. A is going to be our DNA standard ladder or our control, and then B through H are just going to be different DNA samples. It's really important to know going in which one's which because you want to make sure that you're putting them each in the correct wells, because after you run the gel, you want to know which well has which DNA sample in it. In order to extract the DNA, you're just going to go ahead and poke the tip through here and click down to your first click and extract the DNA. And then you're going to go over to your well, and this piece is extremely important because you don't want to poke the tip through the gel, but you also want to make sure that the DNA isn't seeping outside of the gel. So you're going to line up really carefully, and after I get the tip in, I like to wiggle it around, make sure I'm in the right one, and you're going to press all the way down, but don't let go until you pull completely out, and then you can release. After that, you want to make sure you go ahead and discard your tip so that you're not cross-contaminating your DNA. We're going to go ahead and do that. For all of our wells, we're going to put a different DNA sample in each one. This is what your gel should end up looking like. The first well is your standard ladder or your control, and the other wells can be used for various DNA samples to compare them with your control.